the best rally battle the world has ever seen, featuring a German monster with a new technology that would change rally forever, and a team of Italians with a secret weapon. An amazing season that ended with one of the most unforgettable moments in the history of rally. But it actually started way back in 1977, when Audi started developing a 4x4 vehicle for the military. They soon realized that this 4x4 technology could be useful in their production cars, and most importantly, that it could be good at rallying. However, the FIA rulebook at the time didn't allow the use of four-wheel drive systems in racing cars. So Audi sent a man to an FIA meeting in Paris. Using his German charisma, this man managed to convince a room filled with suited people to eliminate this rule. Besides, back then four-wheel drive systems were found only in lorries or vans, so they weren't too worried about whatever the Germans had in mind. After 3 years of development, Audi shared with the rest of the world their big project, the Audi Quattro. They sent it to a few rallies that season as a development car, but it wasn't until next year, in 1981, when they were officially in the World Rally Championship. And in 1982, they had an improved version of the Quattro that dominated the championship. Their new four-wheel drive system was clearly working, and it was about to become even more dominant the next year, with the introduction of the Group B regulations. Naturally, the other teams noticed the big advantage of the German team. Everyone knew that if you wanted to close the gap on them, you needed a four-wheel drive car. Well, when I say everyone. In the early years of the World Rally Championship, Lancia had a 3-year winning streak with the iconic Lancia Stratos. In fact, the sport back then was practically dominated by Italians, and the Lancia team, well, they were very Italian. They were also very traditional. If they see a new team winning with a new technology, they would obviously ignore it. And then there was the team boss, Cesare Fiorio. Fiorio wasn't a team boss like Toto Wolff. No, he was different. He was a very Italian man that liked pretty women and fast boats. He had a lot of success in rallying with Lancia. So, when he heard about those new Group B regulations, he saw an opportunity to relive those years of glory. So, he built a new rally car, a rear-wheel drive rally car. Yes, he knew about the domination of Audi and their new technology, but he had been in the game for quite some time and trusted his secret weapon, his massive experience in rallying. The car he built was the Lancia 037, a light mid-engine car that at first produced around 260 horsepower. That was 100 horsepower less than the Quattro. It also was supercharged, while the Quattro was turbocharged. And the differences weren't just in the cars or the crew, it was also in the drivers. Audi had Hannu Makola, Stig Blomqvist and Michel Mouton, very competitive and experienced drivers who had won 21 rallies between them. Lancia, however, had Markku Alén and Walter Röhrl, who was a very talented driver, but he didn't want to compete in every event and said that he didn't want to become a champion again. Audi also had the big resources of the Volkswagen Group. Lancia had the budget of a teenager selling lemonade. Like any other season, this one started in Monte Carlo, 7 days and 30 stages of ice roads. Audi got ready for the rally by tweaking the car and making sure everything worked as perfect as it could be. Lancia, however, had a different way to prepare for this event. Fiorio ordered 300 tons of salt delivered from Italy, then secretly spread it across the track to melt the ice. He also convinced the French authorities to help salt the roads because, as he said, it was crucial for the safety of the spectators. And Lancia still had another trick for this event. They placed the team truck in the middle of the stage, in the point where the ice road ends and the dry road begins. It was there where the team would wait for the car to arrive and change its tyres. Now, you might wonder, was that legal? Well, it wasn't illegal. And that is the key when you're competing in motorsports. The loopholes. With all these tricks, plus the capable hands of Walter Röhrl, they managed to get a 1-2 finish in the first event of the year, with Audi following them just behind. The next event, however, wasn't going to be that easy. It was in Sweden, where the track was full of snow. There wasn't enough salt in the world to melt that snow. So, Lancia came up with a very clever solution to not lose that race. They just didn't go to Sweden. Audi then won easily with 3 cars in the podium, and their winning streak would continue in the next 2 rallies in Portugal and Kenya. By this point, Audi was well ahead of Lancia, to the surprise of no one. Luckily for Lancia, the 5th event was in the island of Corsica, France, and here almost all of the stages were held on dry tarmac. The Lancia 037 could really shine here, since grip now wasn't a problem. It was the only event in the calendar where Lancia had any advantage over Audi, so they made sure they got the most out of it. by bringing an extra car to win extra points. On top of that, the Audi team had reliability issues during that event, so they didn't even manage to get the 5th position. And talking about reliability issues, the next race was in Greece, known for its harsh conditions and its record of breaking many cars. The Lancia team wasn't very confident here. After all, they had an Italian car race against a German car in a race where reliability is key. It didn't look very promising. Many breakdowns were expected, and many breakdowns happened throughout the 45 stages. Surprisingly, they were all from the German team. None of the Lancias broke down. A big victory that placed them ahead in the Constructors' Championship, opening a gap that would increase in New Zealand after what was a very tight battle between both teams. No one could really understand how those Lancias could keep up with the Quattro, especially Audi. How is this two-wheel drive little box keeping up with their advanced four-wheel drive? It made no sense. The Germans, and quite frankly everyone, had underestimated the experience of the Italian team. So when they arrived at the Rally of Argentina, the Germans were furious. This time around, they unleashed every bit of performance from the Quattro and completely dominated the race with a 1-2-3 finish. Although they were still ahead, this was a big hit for Lancia. It would be crucial that they recover in the next event, held in Finland. But there was a problem here. Remember Walter Röhrl? Lancia's star driver that said he didn't want to compete in every race? Well, he meant it, because he wasn't behind the wheel of the Lancia 037 for this event, although he had a very good reason for it.
I didn't like to go to Finland because I don't like jumps. Because, you know, if I want to fly, I would be a pilot, and not sitting in a car. That's no way.
With Lancia missing one driver, the Germans won the Rally of Finland. Still, with only 3 more rallies to end the season, it was mathematically possible for Lancia to win the championship if they had a 1-2-3 finish in the next event, which was held in a very special place for Lancia. Have you seen any F1 races in Monza or Imola recently? All the fandom that Ferrari has when they're racing at home. That, right there, is passion. Is a whole nation supporting their local racing team. Horsepower, traction, numbers. None of that matters when you have thousands of people cheering your name. Every time Ferrari competes there, they receive all this massive support. And in 1983, in the San Remo Rally, Lancia also had that support. This was more than just a rally. At this point, it was a national issue. They wanted to prove the world that their passion for the sport, for racing, was way more powerful than any brand new technology. After 58 stages and 775 kilometers, the local spectators saw the first 3 cars cross the finish line. All of them were Lancias. The two-wheel drive David had defeated the mighty four-wheel drive Goliath. The Lancia 037 would later appear in automotive history books as the last two-wheel drive car to ever win a rally championship. And it did so while competing against one of the scariest machines that came out of Group